guys, because this is really the only opportunity I have to make this video before it becomes, you know, an uninteresting topic and all that, and I get no clicks. But the 2020 GT500 Shelby. What I'm going to be doing right now is I'm going to be mostly just comparing the car to most of its competition and going over some of the, like, what was his name, Jim Owens stuff. I actually have a script here today, so I'll try and keep on track. So when it comes to the 2020 GT500, what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to list off everything that I know. And all of my sources is pretty much a little bit from Autoblog, but most of what I got is actually from Ford press release. So this is like straight from Ford. Now, the powertrain. The engine itself is the 5.2 liter aluminum block, kind of like the Voodoo engine, but it's not the Voodoo engine, because the Voodoo engine had what's called a flat plane crank, where each piston, the throws of the crankshaft are 180 degrees opposite of each other. That allows for super high revving because everything is in perfect balance, perfectly opposing, kind of like an inline engine. That's what allows you to rev up quick and stay at high RPM all the time. What Ford did for this is go to a cross plane, which is 90 degrees from crank throw to crank throw. Now what this allows is a much stronger torque, because on a cross plane V8, you need to wait for the crank to flip before you have another firing sequence. That's a flat plane. On a cross plane, you need to wait for it to turn 90 degrees to get another firing sequence, meaning you have much more steady and smooth power, which makes more torque. So that's a cool thing. And then they also slapped a gigantic supercharger. We're not sure of displacement, but I'm estimating somewhere, considering they're making 760 horsepower, I'm estimating somewhere in the probably 2.1 liter range, something like that. But one of the things that the Voodoo engine was famous for, with its flat plane crank, was the fact that it could rev to, I think it was like 8,400 RPM or 8,200 RPM, and just sit there at limiter all day. This new engine, well, the new cross-plane variant of this 5.2 liter is only capable, at least Ford claims, of 7,500 RPM. 7,500 RPM. That's still really, really high compared to the rest of the competition, considering most of the V8s now limit themselves at around 7,000 or just under 7,000 RPM. Hey guys, sorry again for the noise quality. Like I said, only chance to record this video, and it's raining, and I'm doing 100 on the highway in a square body Chevy with like 4 holes in the cab. So yeah, it's great. Don't worry though, I'm gonna get a better office to do these rants per minute here in a bit. But so that's enough about the engine. We gone over the power specs, we gone over how it's different. Let's talk about the transmission. So it's supposed to be a, what is it, 7-speed dual clutch transmission. Now a lot of people were hoping for a manual. I really wanted the GT500 to come with a manual. If I were to buy the car, I would have wanted, if I had the money to buy the car, I would have asked Ford for a manual myself. Just because manuals are far more fun, they're a bit more controllable than automatic, and you know, several other features like save the clutch pedal, all that. So other performance statistics like acceleration. So it's supposed to go from 0 to 60 in approximately 3.5 seconds. That's directly on par with the ZL11LE, which is fast, so that's good. Except for the fact that the ZL11LE is down 110 horsepower, but up 25 pound-feet. So what that tells me is that the Ford, even though it's an automatic compared to the manual, and even though it's got more horsepower but slightly less torque, the Ford must be considerably either heavier or have a much longer rear gear, or something's going on in there. Ford is saying sub-11s in the quarter, but I don't know. I'm thinking the car is going to be like an 11.1 or 11.2 car. maybe even a 10.9 if we're lucky. And when people say like sub 11s, I'm thinking like 10.998 or something, or like 10.89, or you know, something that's closer to 11 seconds anyways. So I'm gonna call it an 11-second car. Now that really puts it on track with like, let's see, the Camaro ZL1 1LE has about an 11.4 quarter mile. So I could see somebody who's inexperienced in a GT500 and someone who is experienced in their ZL1 could definitely be a very, very close race. There's been some speculation about pricing. People are saying it's going to be in the mid-70s for pricing. No, it's not. Well, it might be that from factory, but I know for a fact it happened with the Demon, it happened with the Camaro, it happened with the CR1. Dealerships are going to get the car for 70 to maybe mid-80s, and then they're going to bump it up to 150,000 to sell it to you. That's what's going to happen. And people will pay that to get that car. I know it. It's going to happen. The exact same thing happened with the Demon. An $85,000 to $88,000 car that was marked up to $125,000 for no reason other than it's pretty exclusive. So yeah. People are willing to pay that much for that premium of a vehicle. I know that. So yeah, that's on pricing. Now we get into the part where I start comparing everything to where it falls in the categories. Now the cars I'm comparing it to are the Dodge Demon, the 2019 ZR1 ZTK manual, and the Camaro ZL1 1LE manual. Okay? So this is the top performance cars from the big three. These are the 4 fastest cars you can get from Ford, Dodge, and Chevy that are built right now. Now some people will say, oh well, the 2019 ZR1 isn't being built anymore, or oh, the Camaro ZL1, that one isn't being built anymore, it's now this extended 6th gen. I'm saying like within the last year. So the Viper is out because I think the last year for that was like 2016. If it was still being built today, or if it was even being built in 2018, I would include it in here, but I'm going with cars that are being built now. So the biggest thing is Dodge still is winning horsepower. Now when it comes to the Demon, I'm mostly going to be talking about its specs on it, how it comes from the factory. So it's Nitto NT05s and it's premium gas tune, not the race gas, not the drag slips. So I want it to be about as even as we can possibly get. But still, 760 horsepower from the Ford, 750 horsepower, or 755 horsepower from the ZR1, 650 from the ZL1, and 808 on pump gas. I know the 840 number is the race gas number. 808 is what it makes on pump gas, okay? 808. So Dodge is still winning by 48 horsepower. And Ford's only beating Chevy by 5 horsepower. 5. That's a cold air intake. That's an $80 cold air intake on the Corvette, and you're making more power than the GT500. And more torque by like gobs. Like nearly 100 foot-pounds more torque. But whatever. So we have that. Torque, by the way, the GT500 makes about 625 pound-feet, which compared to the Camaro, that's a strong number. But then you compare it to 715 foot-pounds from the Corvette, and then it's like, oh, that's nearly 100 less. And then 770 foot-pounds from the Demon. Oh, wow, that's 150 less. So the Ford is winning horsepower against Chevy, but overall power, they're just not. They're just not winning. Let's go to 60 times. Now, I'm going to have a little section that's specifically between the whole Venom Kills Demon thing, so I'm not going to go into it quite yet. I'm going to go into it later. But 0 to 60 times, the fastest car I have on my sheet of paper right now is the Demon. On street tires, non-prepped surface, it's about 2.5 to 2.6, 0 to 60. Stupendously fast, 0 to 60. The Corvette, sits at about 2.8 to 2.90 to 60. Again, ridiculously fast. The Camaro is about 3.5, 3.4. If you get the automatic, it's like 3.3. But I like the manual better, so we're going with the manual specs. Ford's not giving us a solid number for the GT500, but they said around 3.5 seconds to 60. So I'm just going to give them the shadow of the doubt and say it is exactly 3.5 to 60. That puts it pretty much equal with the ZL1 in that sense, even though it has 110 more horsepower. So yeah, there's that. Now with quarter mile times, at least from companies, we have to be a little bit skeptical, because even with the famous Demon, Dodge saying they got what, a 928 or something, or a 93? They did no actual Demon over, as far as I know, has gotten their car factory with the race fuel to anywhere close to that. They've gotten about 9.5, 9.4, which again is ridiculously fast. That is beyond amazing for a factory. Roll off the showroom, bolt the track pack tires on, go down the strip. But again, we're going street tires. On street tires, it's more like a 9.9, which still ridiculously fast. Not a bad number at all. Now, the next fastest car we have on the docket is the Corvette, which is about 10.8, 10.9, ridiculously fast for a manual car. Then you have the Camaro, which is about 11.4, and then the GT500 claims to be sub 11s, which I'm thinking means like 10.9, which very similar to the ZR1. So that tells me, if we're looking at both 0 to 60 and quarter mile times right beside each other between the ZL1 and the Mustang, is what that tells me is that the ZL1 with its more torque can get to 0 to 60 just as fast. But the higher horsepower number by 110 and probably the slightly longer gearing, much faster shifting DCT brings it up like I imagine that the GT500 is going to pull like a freight train in the last corner. And it's probably going to be a beast at roll racing, realistically. From a dig, I don't see it doing well, but from like, say, a 40 or a 50 roll, I can see it really hurting some feelings. Maybe even some Dodge Demons. But from a dig, I don't think the Mustang has a chance against any serious car. Especially not any car that is anywhere near modified. Like, you put a cold air intake and a different tune on a ZL1 1L8, and you'll eat the Mustang all day. But stock to stock, the Mustang is better than the ZL1 in the quarter mile. By a fair margin, at least what Ford claims. And it should be comparable to what the ZR1 does in the quarter mile. So, we got that. Now, as far as weight goes, the Demon tips the scales at over 4,200 pounds. It is a boat. To put that in perspective, the 1970 Chevelle SS LS6 454 only weighed 3990. We're talking a car built in 1970 with nearly a 1,000 pound engine that weighs less than a modern car. So yeah, the Demon is a heavy boy, heavy boy. Oh, there's a checkpoint here, so I can actually tone down my voice a little bit. Well, not a checkpoint, they're stopping for road construction. So now I can calm down and stop yelling. I gotta take off my hat, it's warm in here. Probably because I'm yelling. So, with that all in mind, the Mustang, I'm estimating to weigh around 3,800 to 3,900 pounds. Why do I say that? Well, the Camaro is a very similar car, and yes, I get it, the Camaro is not the same as a Mustang, but it's about as similar as you can get from a competitor. And it weighs about 3,880 pounds. It has a supercharged small block and a manual transmission and a bunch of carbon fiber and weight-saving stuff. The Shelby will have a supercharged version of their small block, It will have a DCT, which is a light transmission, not nearly as light as a manual, but it's light. And it will have a bunch of weight savings and stuff. So I imagine it'll weigh 3,800 to 3,900 pounds, maybe even as low as 3,700. Because Ford's not giving us a solid weight. I'd say it weighs about 3,800 pounds. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt, say it weighs 3,800 flat for the time being. And the ZR1 weighs about 3,560 pounds. So that makes the ZR1 considerably lighter. Which, hey, it's a Corvette. It's supposed to be lighter than muscle cars. So, now, getting into the whole Venom kills demons and what I think actually happened at Ford. So, Mr. Jim Owens, in a Ford press release, I believe in late 2017, early 2018, said famously, Venom kills demons, after they claimed the 700 plus horsepower. So, what does that mean? Well, I think I know what that means, what Jim wanted. Now, there was some speculation that the GT500 was going to be literally a choose-your-flavor car. There was speculation that there was going to be a manual, kind of like a Corvette ZTK, where it's just going to be, you know, track focused. It's just a sharp blade that's going to cut everything up at the track. Then there was like a ZL1 approach, not the 1LE, but like a kind of jack of all trades. I do nothing excellently, but I do everything well. You know, where it's going to be slightly competitive on the quarter mile versus supercars. It's going to be very competitive on the track, even though it's not a track-focused car. That's going to be a joy to drive, and that will probably be a manual and all that. And then there's going to be the quarter-mile car, you know, stripped of weight, highest horsepower, highest torque, factory slicks, you know, we got a drag wing. The car will come with an optional chute, you know, crazy trans brake, dual clutch, you know, like pretty much a Ford demon. I think that's what marketing director Jim Owens wanted back in 2017, 2018. And we know that he also got a lot of shit from Ford. Like, Ford was like, bro, the fuck are you doing? When he started saying things like that. So what I think happened was Jim Owens knew what the car was going to be capable of, and he wanted to force Ford to make it compete with the Demon. I think he let his own kind of ego into it, and it was like, I want to build the car that beats the Demon. And I think that's what he really wanted to do, which he didn't. It's not even close. It's not even a competition. But I think that's why Ford gave him so much flack, is when he said Venom kills demons, he really wanted to go after the Demon. But Ford was like, dude, no, we're after that Corvette right now, alright? You just shut the fuck up about that Demon thing, alright? You're crazy. We're not going after the Demon. It's crazy. But I really would have liked to see that 3 model thing where it's like one's directly competing against the ZL1, one's directly competing against the ZR1, one's directly competing against the Demon. But it's kind of competing against the ZR1 only, really? Maybe the ZL1 1LE, but it beats the ZL1 1LE. So I guess it's really only in competition with the ZR1 at this point. So that wraps up my 2020 GT500 little rant here. I can already see I'm at 40 minutes, so I'll probably edit it down to probably closer to 30. But I hope you guys learned a little bit. I learned a ton by having to research this. If you guys enjoyed the video, tell me what you think about the 2020 GT500 in the comments. I think it's going to be a hell of a car, and if I could afford one, I would very seriously be interested in buying it. But at what I estimate dealers will mark it up at, like 140-ish, maybe even 120, I'd rather just buy a ZR1 ZTK. Really, I'd just rather do that. Anyways, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video, and I will be seeing you in the next one. Later.